For its energy needs to power households and industry, Zimbabwe largely relies on imports of petroleum oil through the Beira corridor through the Feruka pipeline, and approximately 5 million liters of petrol and diesel is consumed on a daily basis. In recent years, fuel shortages due to foreign currency shortages to procure the commodity have choked the economy alongside persistent power outages owing to constrained generation capacity of its outdated hydro and thermal power plants. This has in turn overburdened the economy, which has already been facing other existential challenges since the turn of the millennium.
When it comes to oil and gas exploration, the only history the Southern African nation is known for is when in the early 90s, American oil giant Mobil conducted extensive oil and gas exploration over an area spanning 200 square kilometers in the expansive Mzarabani Basin.
Mobil was in the country in the mid-1980s and acquired a lot of data, seismic and geological, to the tune of then $30 million.
Mobil had acquired 2D seismic, gravity, aeromagnetic data, and geochemical data, which pointed to some significant petroleum potential in the basin. However, Mobil concluded that it was more likely to be gas-prone than oil-prone. In the early 1990s, there was no structured market for gas, not only in Zimbabwe, but in the wider region as well. Mobil saw very little point in trying to continue their exploration campaign efforts and discover gas, as there were existing gas discoveries in onshore Mozambique that were still lying idle and hadn't been monetized. The energy deficit in the region didn't exist at that point. There was an abundance of hydroelectric power in Zimbabwe, as well as coal-fired generation power in both Zimbabwe and South Africa. However, fast forward 30 years, and the demand for gas has changed, not only in South Africa, but also in Mozambique and Zimbabwe. But gas now has a multitude of uses. So where Mobil saw an issue trying to monetize gas in Zimbabwe and in the region, we now see an abundance of opportunities to bring gas to market and become an energy supplier to the region.
Troves of data of the gigantic Mzarabani Basin were obtained and stored up until 2018, when Invictus Energy announced plans to resume oil and gas exploration.
With the advancement in technology and computer power, and this data was shot 30 years ago, so we had to employ new technologies, new software, and fortunately for us, this started to unravel some of very interesting material that Mobil had missed because of the old technology then.
In November 2018, the government of Zimbabwe announced that it had signed a deal with Invictus Energy to pave way for oil and gas exploration and thereafter potentially commercial drilling.
The Mzarabani Oil and Gas Project is a hydrocarbon project that is licensed under a Zimbabwean registered entity called Geo Associates, which is a company that has got a partnership with Invictus of Australia and One Gas Resources, which is a local company that I chair. We got our license in the New Republic and we hit the ground running. Obviously, with a project of this nature, we had to appraise our principles, and we met with the HE and told him of what we wanted to do, our plans, our vision, and we basically seeking government support from the various institutions, our parent ministry, Ministry of Mines, Ministry of Energy. We brought in external consultants, namely in the mode of a company called GTEC out of UK and Netherlands Civil and Associates. Both entities managed to back up the veracity of the data that we had a good project going, and we make stop-go decisions in this game of exploration.
Results of the geotech study indicated world-class potential of the basin, with the Mzarabani prospect estimated to contain 8.2 trillion cubic feet of natural gas and 247 million barrels of condensate. A smaller prospect, Msasa, was also identified and estimated to contain 1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas and 44 million barrels of condensate.
Prior to conducting the seismic acquisition, survey and exploration drilling, an environmental impact assessment was required to assess the effects of the exercise and plan ways to mitigate adverse impact to the environment as much as possible.
You can't start any exploration work without consulting the necessary stakeholders. So we brought on board a renowned EIA consulting company, and we sent them down to the field in the Mzarabani and Mbire area, where they extensively consulted, very well attended consultative processes, and these were done at ward level to make sure that everyone was consulted. A register of the attendance was taken and all submissions have been taken on board, which is something that is actually helping us now as we continue to engage with our community. In the community, obviously, key people are our cultural leaders, the chiefs. We have consulted very aggressively with them, and we have got the support of all our 4 chiefs, namely Chief Mzarabani, Chief Kasekete, Chief Wata, and Chief Chiweshe. The 4 of them have given us unparalleled support, and they've basically handheld us on issues to do with culture in the area.
Subsequently, an EIA certificate was issued to Geo Associates, an holder of Special Grant 4571 permission to operate, paving a way for the commencement of seismic acquisition and exploration drilling. Other factors attracted the Australian Stock Exchange-listed energy firm to further explore the Mzarabani Basin.
The change in government in Zimbabwe in late 2017. The new government has brought in investor-friendly reforms and provided a friendly environment for resources companies, particularly in the oil and gas sector, which is capital intensive, to come and invest in the country and open the doors once again for foreign investment. This has been a crucial step in Invictus committing to the project.
In March 2021, Invictus Energy and the government of Zimbabwe signed a historic petroleum exploration and development product agreement, State House, which provides the framework for the progression of the project and obligations and rights of each party, among other aspects.
The Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Agreement, PEDPA, provides the framework for progression of the Mzarabani oil and gas project through the exploration, appraisal, development and production phases, and provides a pathway to the commercialization of any discovery in the project area. Your Excellency, the Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Agreement, PEDPA, provides the framework for progression of the Mzarabani oil and gas project through the exploration, appraisal, development and production phases, and provides a pathway to the commercialization of any discovery in the project area. Your Excellency, the Petroleum Product Sharing Agreement, PPSA, contains the fiscal provisions of the project, including the Republic of Zimbabwe's profit and product share, and tax effects following the commencement of the production phase of the project.
They've been about 90 weeks of hard work in the development of this asset. A lot of reinterpretation of data, which was done by Mobile, was undertaken, and other additional work to try and pinpoint the areas where the 2 test wells will be sunk. Over 100,000 hectares. What is the work which is taken to date, simply put, has been to locate the 2 best areas to put test wells. And that work ongoing but closer to finalization. Hence what we have today.
This event is therefore a testimony of my government's commitment to open up our economy to investment, as well as engage and re-engage the global community to do business in Zimbabwe. The signing of this agreement represents major strides in our efforts to tap into our oil and gas deposits, which is a new territory in the country's mining sector.
Invictus Energy concluded field operations and reconnaissance programming in the Cabora Bassa Basin, stating that detailed traversing and mapping across the area has been completed and identified optimal acquisition routes. It signaled the process of executing the first seismic acquisition program in Zimbabwe in 30 years. Field operations and reconnaissance program revealed additional exposure of the Jurassic, Cretaceous age Dande Formation and possibly younger sediments approaching the southern basin edge. A significant sequence of mudrock interbedded with sandstone, giving rise to typical ridge and furrow topography, was observed for several kilometers along a section coincident with the traverse completed along the proposed seismic line L35. The conclusion drawn was that the post-Dande formation contains a significantly higher proportion of mudrock than previously recognized. Canadian company Polaris Natural Resources was announced by Invictus Energy as the preferred contractor to undertake the seismic acquisition and survey.
With respect to Zimbabwe, Polaris has been absolutely delighted to work with Invictus Energy on this incredible project that could hopefully end energy poverty in the area. Polaris initiated this project in March of this year by signing the contract with Invictus, and we brought into the country the senior management, most of which has been developed by hiring people in East Africa, so we're using Africans in a lot of our management roles, but also some expats from Canada and other parts of the world to manage the project. When we arrived on site in Zimbabwe, two things are very, very important for all of our operations. Those are being, number one, low environmental impact, and number two, we have to bring benefit to the local community.
With its vast experience in seismic data acquisition across Africa, the Middle East and North America, Polaris Natural Resource Energy started the task of mobilizing the vibes from Kenya over a 4-week period, and these docked in port in Durban, South Africa, before being transported into Zimbabwe via Baitbridge border post.
The equipment, as you can see, is very sophisticated equipment. It's all hydraulics. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that all the mechanical and hydraulic systems are ready. After that, we install very, very sophisticated electronics. We have boxes that go into the cabs. Those electronics actually make these things work.
The Vibes machines arrived in Harare, the capital, and were sent for maintenance at workshop yards in Rua, northeast of Harare, before they were deployed to Mzalabani for the data acquisition campaign. Ahead of the arrival of the equipment, the process of clearing the base camp had begun, followed by a groundbreaking ceremony. A few months before that, at least 80 people had also been trained from the local Mzarabani and Ebire districts for the field campaign.
Tinoona kuti munzvimbo munomu maitwa job creation ye almost 180 maloka vane vomunomu vaemployiwa muno. Chinova chiri chinhu chinofadza nekuti vanhu vachina vese vaemployiwa zhinji vachina ndewe muno. 3/4 ndedzevono muno muzarabani, as well as ma-cash circulation munzvimbo medu mane cash circulation yakakura nepamusana pokuti idzo mbudzi dzavanga dzichienda kune vana 8 vari kuchifidwa chikafu muno mune Polaris. Saka dzikutengerwa mbudzi dzemulocal dzemumadunhu matigeremo munomu. Mavegetable mukada kuona musengezi river rwizi rwatinosupply mvura munomu wazara magarden nemadomatis nechi vaisimbonotengesa 1 but inezva kutengesa in bulk kukampani kupolaris iyoyi. Saka zvinova zviri zvinhu zvikutifadza nekuti munzvimbo medu masumudzirwa zvikuru.
Tiri kutarisira kuti Mzarabani ichasumuka, ichaita capital city Zimbabwe chaiyo, kana even muno muAfrica icharecognizwa, ichaverengwa senyika ine upfumi hunosumudzira, hunovandudza.
Polaris Natural Resources acquired a total of 402.2 kilometers of data in the SG4571, and following further approvals, a further 437.1 kilometers of continuous data.
These are big vibra-sized units. We're trying to do an ultrasound of the Earth, and for many kilometers on either side of us, we have very sensitive geophones every 12.5 meters. We need to put energy into the ground that we can listen to. So these large 65,000-pound vibrators are the source of the energy. So this is a very sophisticated hydraulic and electronic package where we put a very precise frequency from 5 to 85 hertz into the ground. And these machines are controlled by the thousandths of a second. So the sound that goes out of here is also being listened to in a 6-second period. It's being listened to 6,000 times to get those images from the subsurface.
The Vibes unit, once on the ground, would create vibrations that are measured by stride receiver nodes buried just beneath the surface and placed every 12.5 kilometers along the line.
We plant these out in the field along the seismic lines every 12.5 meters. So when the lines are 20 to 30 kilometers long, you can imagine that starts taking not hundreds but thousands of these. These are state-of-the-art. This is the first time that they've been used in sub-Saharan Africa, so it's the first for Zimbabwe. In here, what we have at the top is a GPS, which will record for 20 days or more. There's a battery in there, like a penlight battery, and at the bottom there's an oscillator that picks up the smallest vibrations that are going on. Like if there was a cat stalking a bird or a mouse down by the river, we would hear that. But it wouldn't just be a small little noise, it'd be every time it put its foot down. They are that sensitive.
The data generated by the 16-second sweep by the Vibes at the shot point and receiver station at every 25 meters and 12.5 meters respectively is stitched together along the line and goes through a processing workflow to create a seismic image of the subsurface.
When I push this one, I'm connected. Then they are connected now. I will come here. As you can see here, these are the nests. These are the nests. Then I can read what is inside. These are the nodes, you see. So every node can read it. I can tell which position it was planted in from the field. I can tell which line where it was planted. So when they are in, the first thing I check the optical connection. If the node is not well connected or it has some problems, I take that node out, put it aside, first harvest the ones which are looking good, then I come back to that node.
We start to check node by node and check the position in these rings. We can see in the screen every ring is taken every 2 hours. The GPS active, send the signal, take a sample and start to do a correction for take the best position. In this case, the accuracy is very good one, around to 30 or 40 centimeters in the field. After you check the position and you check your line is complete, all nodes coming, you start to take the data, you give to the system the time break for every shot. In this time, the system take it and go on all nodes and found this time. And take this time, the system start to create the data. This is the data coming from the field. This is at 1 BP, observation point. In the middle of the screen, you find it, is the by position and start to shake. All these things is the wave coming deep and come back in deflection.
In November 2021, Invictus Energy announced the Cabora Bassa seismic survey has been completed and the demobilization of equipment from the base camp immediately started.
The new seismic data set that we've gathered is a game changer in terms of imaging of the subsurface. The previous mobile dataset was 610 line kilometers and about 16 gigabytes in size. The new dataset that we've gathered is 840 line kilometers and about 4,000 gigabytes in size, a 200-fold increase in the data density. We'll be able to image the subsurface far clearer and gain greater insight and understanding into the potential petroleum accumulations beneath the subsurface. This enormous data set is currently being processed by Earth Signal in Canada, using a variety of algorithms to extract a number of products that we'll utilize in our seismic interpretation. Once the processing is finished, our geophysicists will interpret the data to map out the various structures in the subsurface and the various targets and horizons. From that, we will high-grade the portfolio to identify the drill sites that contain the best potential of making a commercial discovery.
The seismic survey of the Mzarabani Basin brought better imaging of the giant basin structure, and once the interpretation of the full data set is complete, Invictus would refine the location of the basin, opening one well, which is scheduled to be drilled in the first half of 2022.
Invictus Energy is optimistic of commercial discovery, and the unfolding project is expected to have at least 25 years of a lifespan once production starts. The special grant 4571 is currently in its second phase, that is, infill seismic and exploration drilling, which will last for a period of 2 to 3 years. This phase involves exploratory well drilling that is expected to start in the second quarter of 2022. If successful in exploratory well drilling, Invictus Energy then conducts appraisal drilling, which will be preceded by delineating and characterized field operations. The construction of facilities processing and gathering infrastructure will then follow in a combined period of between 2 to 3 years during this particular phase. After this stage, Invictus Energy, the company, will get into production phase of extracting oil and gas for about 25 years, at which point revenue streams will begin to flow to government. Currently mining and agrarian-based, the Zimbabwean economy's commercial discoveries of oil and gas in the Mzarabani Basin will definitely catapult the Zimbabwean economy by creating a huge tax base, rebooting and diversifying the energy sector, creating upstream and downstream industry, and bringing immediate fruits to the surrounding communities in the Mzarabani, Mbira districts and beyond.